Hey, I'm Dadler.
And I'm Alex and welcome to the updated 12% tutorial for 2022. In this first scene you instantly spam cover to start the next cutscene. Here you want to aim at the hostages in the specific way as shown on screen. White shirt guy, and then after you hear yourself, the guard and then the last one. Then you switch to first person and spam phone up and enter to instantly detonate the bomb. Normally jumping indoors in third person is faster, however due to the turns that you have to take in this scene, running in first person is quicker. At the end you do one jump. Switch to Trevor by spamming Trevor's switch button, wait for the switch to be complete, then aim and shoot the guard in the head. If you start to aim too early, your camera will be misplaced. You now want to make sure that you grab the pistol dropped by the guard so that you can switch your weapons using the hotkeys later to quickly reload them. This is called weapon swapping and will be used in every shootout in the run. After you see Michael and Brad walk off, you want to jump 3 times in third person until you can press Q to take cover. Now spam jump and then try to move ahead of Michael to skip Brad's dialogue. And this is an advanced strat, but attempting it doesn't lose you time, so you always want to at least attempt it. After the garage door opens, you want to quickly take out the first car while running forward, and then weapon swap for quick reload. Now you want to take out the enemies as shown in the video, while always shooting the passengers of the cars first so that the passenger doesn't move into the driver's seat, which makes them harder to hit. After this first scene you want to take out the next arriving car and then do what is called tab running, which is where you shoot once and then spam the put away your gun button, which is tab by default, so that the character remains in what is called combat mode, which makes your movement speed higher. Ignore these 2 cars, as they will despawn later anyways. Shoot the people in this arriving car, then aim to go towards the getaway car. Turn around and shoot the 3 cops arriving, then press F to get into the car. On this drive you want to make sure to be as far right on the road as possible, because, for unknown reasons, your car goes faster. After this you want to drive to the point shown in the video. Get out of your car and shoot the petrol tank about 4 times, but no more than 10, until you start losing petrol. Then you want to get back into the car and start driving towards the cutscene activation point, which is showcased here. Just before hitting it, you want to lock your FPS to 30 and dive out of the car into the zone. This is because you can't progress while not fitting the requirement of being in the car, which makes you able to move around in the checkpoint zone, which usually should not be possible. Now that you are out of the car, line up with the car door, hit the petrol line to ignite the fuel and get into the car while pressing W and uncap your FPS on mission failed screen for a bit faster loading. Also by spamming enter on the mission failed screen you will be able to retry earlier. If done right, you have hit the checkpoint without hitting the cutscene trigger, and since failing resets you to the last checkpoint, you will spawn after the cutscene. You also can't be outside of your car for more than 11 seconds, else you will mission fail for abandoning the crew. Also there's a rare instance of mission failing during the train cutscene that saves like 2 seconds. Then you want to hold Shift, S and D to run backwards. This cutscene skip strat is very advanced, and if you are just starting out you probably don't want to bother with it. Alternatively you can just take the corner and watch the cutscene as showcased now. It's also worth saying that most of the strats showcased can be done both on PC and console. If you're playing on console and something doesn't work for you, join our Discord server and ask in the console only discussion channel. I advise everybody who is interested in speedrunning GTA V to join the official GTA V speedrunning Discord. The link will be down in the description. 2 more things to mention is that we have our own custom launcher for speedrunning called Project 1.27, which you use to play on, well, patch 1.27. Because there are a lot of advantages in this patch compared to the other ones. In the description there will also be a video by Dark Viper EU showcasing most of the differences between patches. The most important differences are that we don't have waves on the ocean, as you will see later on the mission Daddy's Little Girl, and that load times are a lot shorter. Another thing that comes included with patch 1.27 is jump script, which allows us to jump during the mission pass screen, which is not normally possible. In this tutorial, we try to showcase strats that are used by most top level runners, as well as easy workarounds for beginners. So don't be confused if you watch somebody stream their runs and do something different. Just ask about it. They will surely be happy to explain why they do stuff the way that they do it. Speaking of streaming, all the gameplay was provided by me. I also stream my runs over on twitch.tv/alexsonics quite often, so feel free to watch and hang out with me when I'm live.
Of course, I also have a Twitch and YouTube channel called Daddler, so come and visit me also. And now for Franklin and Lamar. Run to the red car while trying to take cover. After the cutscene, immediately cut left into oncoming traffic. Now we do a little camera manipulation to despawn the two cars that would normally block us for the next turn. While cutting in front of Lamar and driving up the hill, avoid these two bushes, because they can be really sticky. Cutting in front will enable the rubber banding of Lamar, which basically speeds up Lamar as soon as you are in front of him. So we got a goal for this mission, and that is to max out the rubber banding without losing Lamar. To abuse this, we position ourselves in the middle of the yellow lines as shown here to get a push from Lamar. Lamar swerves a bit to the right as shown here, so be prepared to swerve a bit too, to not get spun around. Now it's a good time to explain Franklin's power. Franklin's power makes the driven car have more gravity and to improve your overall handling, but it slows down time. So it's a useful tool for speedrunning, but not if used excessively. Therefore, you tap Franklin's power here on the hill. Then, you continue through to a brake boost. Brake boosts give you a speed boost just through braking. For that, you want to hold your brake button from the point onwards when the car's front hits any uneven ground, pothole or bump until the point where you are completely over the bump. This gives you a minor speed increase. However, if you mix in Franklin's ability, it will give you a bigger boost. For this drive, you want to first brake boost on this hill and then brake boost without power on this small bump. Power once on this turn and do a powered brake boost on the far right side here. There will also be a very good tutorial linked in the description by Friendly Baron, where he talks about brake boosting and mid-driving, which is another driving mechanic that we will showcase soon. So be sure to check that out as well. For every brake boost, we will show you a BB pop-up on the right side of your screen, so that we don't have to mention it every time. We also won't mention stuff that you can easily see in the video, like usage of Franklin's power and the general route that you take. The cars on this mission always spawn in on the same spot, but often move differently depending on traffic lights and other influences. Watch out for this truck. It can sometimes speed up because the scripted traffic is oriented at Lamar's pace, so the rubber banding can screw you over. Then on the jumps, try to land on the back tires because this will act as a curb boost. A curb boost is a mechanic where if your car's suspension is compressed or extended, it will increase your speed by a bit. Franklin's power also impacts this and makes you get a bigger speed boost. For the rest of this drive, just follow the video. And by the way, leave a like if you enjoy what we are doing here, because it really helps out a ton for our motivation. After the cutscene, drive out the lot on the right while powering tries in your car. This prevents the cops' vision bugging out, making them see you again when they should not. And then you wait and look on your map to dodge any cop car spawning that might see you while moving towards Simeon's dealership. You can drive to Simeon's dealership from both sides. I'm first gonna show you the first side here through this alleyway. You want to make sure to park your car more or less in the same spot as the video, as it will instantly trigger the cutscene and won't make you fail the mission for bringing cops too close to Simeon's dealership. Here, you want to turn around and get out of the building to skip some of Simeon's dialogue. Alternatively, you can also spam the character swap button to delay Jimmy's dialogue until you are outside, which entirely skips Simeon's dialogue. This saves around 1 second, but you will need to time it right and make sure that the first time you hold the character swap button, you need to do it a little longer than usually, because otherwise you would delay the dialogue and lose time needing to wait for it to finish. Now you want to jump indoors, and as soon as you are outside, switch to first person and run in first person outdoors. Enter Franklin's Buffalo and pull up your phone to get ready to call emergency services. Drive forward as soon as Lamar starts to get in, power once and call emergency services to prevent the dialogue from playing. When you hear that the car is about to shift from second to third gear, you do a mid-drive, which is another driving mechanic. Just before your car shifts up to third gear, you want to lift off the accelerator button for a split second. While lifting off, you want to press handbrake and then immediately accelerate again. This will then stall your engine at the perfect point to increase your speed, while also using Franklin's power to get even more speed out of it. Starting out, you will probably have a hard time listening to the RPM of the car, so doing a mid-drive in the same general area that we do it should have a high chance of working. Put your phone down and drive into the garage. This skips every dialogue but the last sentence, which triggers as soon as Franklin is in his driveway. Run out of the house while the mission pass screen comes up. Now press enter to skip the mission pass screen while jumping twice. Afterwards, switch to first person and run into the left side of the garage door. As you can see, we warped into the Buffalo. That is because Franklin's pathing gets interrupted by the garage door closing, and therefore the game warps you into your car. The timing of pressing F here is really important. As soon as you hit the garage door, you want to press F once and do no other inputs. Accept the phone call, crash into the wall to pendulum yourself around, and do a mid-drive. Now you want to drive to Simeon's dealership, pick up some brake boosts, and don't forget to power. Get out of the car and punch one time before the mission slowdown comes up, and then switch back to third person.
Hey, what's up, Simeon?
And now for repossession to Alex.
So good.
After jumping twice, run this longer route to the bullet to make Lamar run. While waiting for Lamar, hold W and space bar to get the RPM of the car up. As soon as this animation starts, release handbrake, power once, mid-drive, powered brake boost in the same spots as the video, and you have good speed for this drive.
I never took you to be old hairstylist type bitch, but now it's all starting to make sense.
You want to hit the left barricade with the left front of your car to not get it stuck under your car. Slow down for the stunt jump. Scroll with your mouse wheel to speed the animation up and try to land without crashing. If you have lost too much speed, you can easily recover your speed with a mid-drive.
Fuck, homie. I don't want no...
Approaching the yellow dot, you want to spin the car around using handbrake to get Lamar closer to the fence.
Alright?
Repark the car like this to have it spawn after the mission.
Should be as the story of your life, asshole. Do as I do, nigga.
After climbing the fence, you want to push Lamar in first person. Repeatedly sprint into him to push him until you are past the green car. You don't want to push him any further because otherwise there will be extra dialogue playing which delays the garage entry later.
Yeah, you thought I was gonna hit your bitch ass, huh? Drunk ass nigga.
Wait in front of this garage.
Man, stop being a pussy, nigga.
Climbing over the wall here spawns all the enemies at once.
Look, homie. Find your bitch ass some cover. Some more of them niggas.
After killing the last 4 enemies, you want to wait for 4 seconds, then shoot once to get into combat mode.
Somebody tell them niggas it's illegal repossession.
You sure picked the right people to pick a fight.
Now you want to take this exact path and shoot the guy off the bike to quickly grab it.
Came here for a bite.
Take the bike and meet me at the car wash around the way.
On motorcycles you want to wheelie as much as possible. When you're not wheeling, you want to lean forward to get better handling with the bike. You can pop a wheelie off of any uneven surfaces. Preparing for the jump, this is the part you want to aim for. As soon as you are on the grass, you want to wheelie. Take the jump and glide a bit to the street. At the end of the drive, jump off the bike into the yellow dot to skip some voice lines. If the bullet didn't spawn, you might have parked it incorrectly or you just got very unlucky. Power twice, once on the turn and once on the grass patch, for the mission. This will skip some of Tonya's voice lines while entering the mission. Use the pole to come to a stop.
What the fuck is wrong with you, Tanya? Ain't nothing wrong with me. Hey, look, let's make this quick. I got shit
Hold
to do.
handbrake while waiting for Tonya to get the revs up, then release it as soon as Tonya starts getting into the car. During this drive you want to delay Tonya's first line of dialogue with Franklin's power, so that after getting into the tow truck the right dialogue plays. Park with the passenger door close to the tow truck, that way Tonya has to walk the least.
As soon as you enter the tow truck, make sure to lower the hook already. Now for another driving mechanic in this game, that being powering on the gear shift. The tow truck is one of those vehicles that, if you power just as it shifts up, you gain a bit of speed. This is abused 2 times on this first drive, along with going over curbs at the same time to gain even more speed. On the previous drive you delayed Tonya's dialogue. Seeing as the car that you need to tow is spawned in only after some dialogue has passed, you don't want to delay the dialogue any more than necessary with powering. Therefore, only the dialogue of the dispatcher has to start. After picking up the car, you instantly pull the hook up again, because it's faster to drive around with the car pulled up. Watch out for traffic here, because one crash can ruin your whole speed and it's very difficult to build up again. Therefore, you can easily lose 20 seconds or more if you crash really badly. You can drop the car a lot earlier here and just let it run into the red zone while trying to turn around towards the bullet.
Shit changes.
I'll see you on the block. Anything you need.
When heading out the lot, make sure to lock your FPS to 60 to open the gate faster.
Now, where is that fool?
Approaching the next mission chop, there's 2 different ways to enter the yellow dot. First I'm going to show off the sensible way, which is to slam into the fence while holding D to trigger the yellow dot. However, there is another strat that some runners prefer, which is to gain enough speed of the brake boost to fly into the yellow dot and come to a stop. This strat saves about 1 second if Franklin gets out of the correct side of the door. But be careful, because with that much speed you can easily crash and fly through the windshield.
Approaching this wall you want to spam Q to try and get out of Lamar's range. After getting out of cover you want to spam jump. If the game allows you to jump instantly, run up to the shopping cart. Switch it to first person and start pushing it. If the game doesn't allow you to jump, just take cover again and then switch into first person to start the shopping cart push. Setting up the shopping cart to warp Lamar into the car is hard. You want to make sure that the handle is placed all the way at the van and just barely block the passenger side door. Also make sure to never touch Lamar or Chop, as they will pause for a second if you do.
You got the wheel, homie.
If you see Lamar stop at the side of the van, you did it correctly. On this entire drive you want to make sure to not power more than shown in the video, as powering will result in Franklin's "What you doing this dog?" dialogue not playing early enough, resulting in you having to wait for it to play.
I like your dog, homie. Chop. Got a lot in common. Yo annoying ass.
Man, I'm carrying both of y'all asses, homie. Look what I set up.
Hey, why we doing this, dog?
Man, cuz we supplementing our income.
More like supplementing the drama in our lives.
Damn! He down this alley up here.
Hey, what's up, bro?
Now do some more tab movement here. Enter the van and prepare yourself for 3 different possibilities you can do now. Let's first show you the beginner variant. It's the easiest. You follow D while cutting through the same parking lot you entered through. This section is scripted, so you can always drive in the exact same parts of the road to not get hit by any cars.
Just drive, fool.
It's gonna get bumpy, Chop.
Oh, concentrating ass fool. It's like watching Chop trying to read when you do that shit. Motherfucker jump.
Here you want to shoot to scare off any NPCs that might spawn in the alley.
Don't overshoot that
Jump
shit.
down the stairs and drive straight until the game stops you. Then you just wait for D to arrive.
You seen that bitch back there? She a dime. I'm all over that.
But let's go back now and show you the more difficult strats.
In the van, we gotta go.
You want to stay straight here and then turn right while grabbing the same brake boost as in the video.
See what?
After the last jump you want to start calling a cab.
He driving.
The cab call can't start the dial until you finish some specific voice lines. When the phone call is connected, make sure to interrupt the dialogue by toggling the power. It's very important that you pass over those white arrows on the ground. You then want to stop, get out and put the phone down. Now one dialogue line will play and after it finishes you want to run towards D to skip to the next scene. Now let's go back again and show you something even riskier. If you're fast enough you can just dive into D without ever getting out of the van. You want to make sure to line up so that D hits the door of the van, to prevent the van being stuck in the lower gear on the last drive. This cannot happen if you do either of the previously showcased strats.
Trading ass fool. It's like watching Chop trying to read when you do that shit. Man, take Chop, go get that fool. Nigga, you just sitting your ass there with your feet kicked up. Come on, Chop. Come on.
Do some more tab movement and follow this exact route to get in front of D.
Take a bite out that motherfucker, Chop. Long as you don't kill him, you can eat a big chunk out this bitch. We just want to get paid, man. Give it up. This like sprint training.
Now for job pushes. Basically just do exactly what is showcased in the video. I usually go into the furthest away camera angle to make it easier to see when job stops. For the first push you want to hit his left ass cheek when he starts to slow down and try to push him into the middle.
In that train, boy.
For the other pushes just try to push him exactly when he starts the sniff animation. These pushes take a lot of practice to get right.
You smell that motherfucker, boy? You a mean motherfucker, man. Let's go.
Kill the dog so that Chop doesn't end up running over to him.
Where you at, Chop?
Stand in front of the box car that D hides in and spam E to open it. After the unskippable cutscene you run to this exact point to trigger the cutscene.
Get his ass.
On this drive you don't want to power because the dialogue fits perfectly to end just as you arrive at the yellow dot. If you really need to power because of traffic or something else, you want to hold power for at least 1 second because then the dialogue line will not get interrupted.
You always been dumb, Lamar. Really? Well, I guess that means we're gonna have to shoot your ass when we pick up our 40 stacks.
There is also a frame perfect strat at the end of this mission where you can skip D's dialogue but nobody gets it consistently. Attempting to line up doesn't lose you at any time though, so feel free to go for it.
We got your boy.
You calling them on a cell phone, you dumb motherfucker? They gonna trace this shit in a sec.
We want 40,000. Is pay me or pay the funeral director, motherfucker.
What the fuck you done? You just gave them our location. Now we gotta let this motherfucker out of here. Get the fuck out of here. And nigga, give me that damn phone.
What the fuck?
Oh, you owe me a bike too, you motherfuckers!
Alright, motherfucker.
You the mother...
Driving to Simeon's lot, you want to power on the gear shift and make sure to not crash. There are two ways of entering the mission complications. The first one is to gently slow down with your power and run into the mission activation zone. The other, more risky approach is to dive out into the mission activation zone and hopefully not die. Cap your FPS to 60, otherwise it would result in a mission fail. After the cutscene, take the closest car, power twice to accelerate quicker and then hit a mid-drive. Then make sure to unlock your FPS again. You can also grab a brake boost off of most curbs in the game, like showcased here. It is really essential to get more speed for that big brake boost shown here. Holding your power for a little longer gives you a lot of speed on certain brake boosts. Make sure to not crash into any poles or cars, because this will screw your momentum. Pull up to Michael's gate and power once to stop the car. Get out and climb this part of the wall to jump over the gate. Enter first person and run up to the car to climb on it. During the animation of climbing into the window, you should not make any inputs. As soon as you gain back control, press Ctrl to enter stealth walk and suddenly Franklin sneaks at warp speed. Now watch the minimap. As soon as it shifts, you can start running. Do one jump while switching to third person here. After getting into the car, you want to spam F immediately to try and get out again. This triggers Michael's animation immediately, so you don't have to wait for him to get up. This drive is one of the most difficult drives in the whole game. The car has a high center of gravity, so it's easy to either spin out or crash. Brake boosts of course are really important here. Also, probably every evasive maneuver will end in a crash because Franklin's power is not enabled.
Maybe one day we'll have a beer, and I'll explain how the world really works. Who gives you the slip?
A car dealer, dog, by the name of Simeon Yeteri.
So this businessman, he look legit to you?
Look, man, it's just between him and your...
Make sure to not hit this yellow dot with too much speed, as it would otherwise teleport you across the street.
That the place?
Skip the cutscene, drive through the window and skip the other cutscene. Run a bit to Simeon and press punch while holding shift and W. You don't want to right click, as it wouldn't quick punch then. Angle your camera towards Simeon and above him and punch the shit out of him.
During the mission pass screen you want to go into first person, then when you see the tooltip on the top left appear you want to press up, left and then spam enter. You then want to open the menu and load into the save that you just created. While loading into the save file you want to hold the character switch button of a character that you don't currently play as. In this case Franklin, which is by default F6. This glitch is called save warping and it makes the current character warp to his safe house. In this case Michael will warp to his house. After the game finishes loading, release the character swap button. If you hold it longer you will switch to Franklin, which is bad. Run up the driveway while pulling up your phone to trigger the sleep mode tutorial. You won't be able to put down your phone while running into the door. You trigger the tutorial here because you don't want to trigger it anywhere else, as it would lose time. Run around the yellow dot and into the door to not get a cutscene.
Why the fuck not?
We're taking my wife's car.
Take a wide line around the wall here to avoid Franklin getting stuck on the edges. Enter on the passenger side to open the door for Franklin. Take this exact line to pick up some brake boosts and watch out for the traffic, as this car spins easily and traffic is really unforgiving here.
Lesson number 1. Don't ever have kids.
Hey, man, look, if I had kids, I don't think no parenting issues would arise over who had both privileges and who don't. Shit, motherfuckers would be lucky to sit in the bathtub.
Shit, things that desperate, huh?
Nah, but, you know, shit, I was making a point.
Pathologizing self-deprecation. I know it well.
Yeah, man, but shit, where the boat at?
Little shit's been hijacked. They're somewhere on the Western Highway.
Man, ain't you worried?
About my boat? Yeah, I am.
But you can always buy another boat.
Yeah, tell my accountant that.
This turn is very important. Try to carry as much speed as possible through the turn while not spinning out to get Franklin's animation of climbing up the boat started as soon as
Yeah,
possible.
well, we'll catch 'em.
Now you want to distance yourself a bit from the boat to let it slow down because of the rubber bending.
I'm not gonna
Hit
take
one brake boost to get back up to speed and let Franklin jump onto the boat. As soon as he is on the boat, let off the accelerator slightly to not be too far away from the boat to pause Franklin's cycle of animation and not to be too close because the boat would rubber bend away. For the rest of the section, just follow exactly what the video does and pay attention to the input overlay to see when I accelerate and when I just hang back.
engine. Fuck. Ah, this is gonna kill me.
It's very important to rubber bend the boat just right so that you can take the first exit off of the highway.
Stay behind there.
You can shoot this one guy earlier than you might expect. He will only die when the game allows him to though.
Hey, you asshole! Get away from him!
Hang back a lot here.
Alright, now look for my son!
I accelerate again when I see Jimmy being flung to the left.
Jimmy! Kid, watch out for the boom! Fuck! Hold on!
After shooting this guy, you have a 4-second window to pick Jimmy up without getting a long animation of Franklin climbing up onto the boat.
Don't dad me, you little shit! You better hope she's still seaworthy!
When I hear Franklin's "Hey, get me off of this ship" line, I accelerate again to pick him up. Then take the first highway exit.
All fucking board? Let's stop this ship from sailing. Ah, too close! Now that doesn't sound good!
Now you want to line yourself up to get a pretty hard dialogue skip.
Come on, stay with me. Stay with me.
I usually use this black thing on the curb to line myself up. When you hear Jimmy say "son", you want to accelerate again and try to hit the yellow dot before Franklin's dialogue line
Make
starts.
sure you're good.
Yeah, I got this.
It's important to scroll when entering the mechanic. It lets you skip the cutscene of driving into it. Press enter, then escape to repair the car, and then you're off to another drive where you will be using a lot of mid-driving and brake boosting.
Alright, man, I'm taking you home.
For most mid-drives in this game, I have a lineup to combine it with brake boost to gain a lot of speed as quickly as possible. So be sure to copy exactly what I do.
It's Franklin, right?
Yeah, Frank, or the credit fraud guy, the home invader. You know what? Call me what you like, man.
Yeah.
At the end here, you want to make sure to hit the wall so that the dialogue gets interrupted.
Yo. So
Now
since
for
we're-
another commonly used glitch. The so-called buffered latch grab. You want to take cover just like in the video. Open your phone, and when the animation of Franklin taking out his phone starts, you want to press spacebar and W at the same time. Please note that this will only work if the phone's special key is not the same as the jump key in your keybinds. Then you want to start calling a hangout with Michael. The gate will sometimes be closed and it will only open if you call a hangout with Michael. You then want to instantly cancel the hangout again because the mission can't spawn during a hangout. Then drive to this exact location, put the phone down while still being in the car, and then spam Q while getting out of the car. Hopefully you will fly directly into the mission trigger. However, you don't need to call a hangout if the gate is already open.
You okay, homie? What happened?
Guy bounced my wife is what happened.
Drive out to the gate to the right, and then just abandon the tennis coach.
Oh, that's fucked up, man. Where is he?
Now coming up to the hill climb,
Hey, when
which is pretty difficult. You want to keep just enough speed so that you don't spin out, while also not losing touch with the ground. This way, your wheels can keep accelerating you up the hill.
Man, this dude got some explaining to do.
If you fail this, there's also an easier way to get up the hill, as showcased now.
It wasn't hard. They were in my house, in my own bed, on top of each other.
Man, this dude got some explaining to do.
The whole thing was kind of self-explanatory, Frank. And what we're about to do won't need much context either.
There's a winch. And we'll see how you like when someone fucks with your shit. Well, hey, wait! You got the wrong idea, pal! Whoa! Fuck! Here we go! Let's see what happens. Oh, see,
After pulling down the house, you want to instantly pull up the phone to prevent a phone call from coming in. Jumping down the hill might take you a few tries to get it right. Spinning out on this downhill drive is pretty easy, so make sure to not spin. Now you want to press C to turn the camera around, and then manually turn your camera back to the front so you can see where you're going. This will prevent the goons from spawning. Make sure that you move your camera with the car turning, that you don't face the side of it.
Hello. Is this still the number for Lester Crest?
Who's asking?
Who's asking? Who's asking?
For the next mission it's fastest to get a randomly spawned bike. Some bikes might spawn to the right side of the park or parked on the street to the left. Most of the time you will need to go down to the highway to hopefully get a good bike spawn. If you don't get any bikes or either get a bagger, chopper or Fagio, you might want to take a sports car.
Whoa, wait. Hey, how do you... Hello? You fucker.
Now for the first time you need to do some text message management. If you don't need to power, which obviously delays everything, you should get Dr. Friedlander's call at about 30 on the split timer if you use the auto splitter, which I strongly advise you to. Note that phone calls can only come in if you don't have your phone up and you are not running. Amanda's text will then come in at 35 on the timer, and the phantom text that you want to get will come in at 105. A phantom text is basically a text message for a different character. In this case it's a text from Lamar to Franklin talking about Stretch getting out of prison. Because Rockstar is very good at coding, you can get certain messages on different characters than you are supposed to. The only issue is that they won't show up in the phone or as a pop-up. It's vital for the run to get all three of those to not lose any time later. When arriving at Lesnar's house you can jump off into the door. Jump once and then bring up the phone to avoid the forced slowdown. After the cutscene you want to go into first person and then just barely open the door so that you can run earlier. This jump can be pretty hard to nail. You always want to try to jump into the oncoming lane so that you can actually see where you are going. For this shop section there's only one strat.
Excuse me.
After buying the last thing you want to take cover on this shelf and then spam Q to get out of cover again, saving like 2 seconds.
That's as useful as you're gonna get. Dignity aside, I think that might just work. Good luck at the interview.
When arriving at Lifeinvader, you can try to park on the curb. If you do it correctly, the bike will be turned around after exiting the building. However, it's pretty risky to nail the parking just right. Inside of buildings, normally jumping is quickest, however, you are locked to a painfully slow walking speed here. So being in first person is better, because you can cut corners better.
Hi.
Oh, hi.
Chill out on the beanbag. Marcus will be right out.
Oh, I'm gonna take a normal chair. I have a terrible back.
Here you go. If you got
If you close the pop-ups fast enough here, you can skip 2 pop-ups and skip some voice lines as well.
Got any antivirus software? There it goes.
Wow, your job is actually kind of stressful too, ain't it?
And that should do it. Why don't you try and keep things strictly safe for work from now on?
hey, you should leave, dude.
Dude, when it blue screens again, you're my guy.
Bye now.
Sit. Foot bang, dig fast.
Ow!
Come on, you're gonna have to learn the foot bag if you want to get a job here, okay? Follow me.
Okay.
Some a-hole drank my effing hemp milk. There was a totally non-passive aggressive note on it. If I drown in mucus, it's your fault, you illiterate effing thieves.
After getting the phone call, you want to open the phone and close it again to get rid of the text pop-up. Now you arrive at the first difference between any % Classic and Segment runs. In any % Classic you want to save the bike. However, in Segments you can just ride it into the building, saving 5 seconds.
Oh my god, you guys are so...
In this series we will be showcasing Segment strats. If you want to upgrade to running any % Classic, you can just ask in the Discord what the differences are and what you need to pay attention to. When calling the blow Jay Norris up, I usually just scroll up 5 times, then press enter and then I put down the phone because it looks funny when Michael is calling nothing.
Lifeinvader mobile device. Hold on a second. I think someone's trying to dock with me. Hello?
Oh! Ah! Oh, Jesus! Whoa! Let's... Whoa!
Start spamming jump before the mission pass screen comes up. This jump is FPS based. The lower your FPS are, the higher the chance of working. When running into this corner to spawn the mission, I stop holding shift for a second to make the phone call come in. There's a forced slowdown zone in front of this yellow dot here, so avoid it by jumping into it. Spam jump while skipping the cutscene, and then try to push Jimmy a little bit. You don't want to push him farther than the middle of the staircase, or else he might not run later. Similar to what you did with Lamar on the mission Repossession, you run around the car a little bit to get Jimmy running.
You're lucky to even be allowed out of the house after that boat stunt.
What's the big deal? If anything goes wrong, you can just fake your death and start all over. If I'm hanging with you, I'm listening to my music. Fuck yeah, I'm a jam. How am I meant to develop my own moral sensibilities when yours are so unbelievably fuck-based?
Don't push me.
Seriously, some guys borrow your bow.
Burrow. You were hiding in the head crying kidnap.
They just took receipt of your property with payment pending.
If it was anything other than what you told me, then that's on you.
All right, they fucking stole it. And who knows what they would have done if they found me, but I didn't expect or want
When
them to get
arriving,
killed.
you don't want to push any civilians into the bikes or the rental guy, else you would mission fail.
A crook, a
There are 2 bikes that you can take here. The safer option is to just take the race bike as shown now.
Hey, you!
Managing your stamina by continuously pressing caps lock is very important here. You also want to lean forward permanently to go faster by pressing spacebar. Avoid every pedestrian on the way and maybe slow down a bit for the corner here. However, you can also take that BMX bike and do bunny hopping. It is a very advanced threat though.
This one'll do.
You can do it by leaning forward and spamming the jump button as showcased now. Controlling yourself is pretty hard though, but it can save up to 8 seconds if done well. One pedestrian can screw your whole momentum, and seeing as it is really difficult to build up again, you will lose time. Also, for taking the corner, you might need to slow down and not do the bunny hops again. This car here is a scripted car, so it always spawns, so try avoiding it. For the beginning of the next section, you want to always be looking left to hopefully spawn in a boat. The camera manipulation in spawning and despawning vehicles is really hard in this game. If it didn't spawn, you might have done something wrong. As I mentioned earlier, there are no waves on the water because we are speedrunning on patch 1.27. Grab the boat, turn around and drive into the other boat. For the shootout, you want to slow down and almost come to a complete stop. Now for the dialogue skip. You want to call a cab when Michael's dialogue is finishing and before you pass the pillar that's kinda sticking out. When arriving at the beach, put the phone down.
Now another safe warp. After the safe warp, you want to do what is called a hangout warp. Call Franklin for a hangout. Once the phone call is connected, you can put it down. Get the suit and then switch to first person and wait for a text. If you don't get a text, you either didn't get the phantom on friend request and got it now, or you were too slow on the hangout calling part and the text got delayed. After getting the text, switch to Franklin. Run to the left like in the video and switch back to Michael. Now you want to do what's called quick texting. Don't hold anything during the switch animation, so that the text comes in quicker. Instead of a 20-second wait, it's 7 seconds. Only start accelerating roughly when I do in the video. You also want to go into sleep mode here to prevent the phone call from coming in. You only want texts here. Going up these stairs is faster in third person.
Garment factory. I needed a job that didn't require me to do anything apart from paying taxes. Okay, listen.
I enter the car in first person because when I warp out of it I want to be in first person already.
Your FIB buddies, they know you're back in business?
FIB buddies? What are you talking about?
I checked out the WPP thing. Doesn't look like any WITSEC program I'm aware of. But for starters, they don't put witnesses up in multi-million-dollar mansions in Rockford Hills.
Well, maybe they thought this would be the best cover.
And most witnesses don't transfer five-figure sums into a particular FIB agent's bank account every month. Of course, the money gets moved around and washed through a number of fronts, but the trail is there. Deposits and withdrawals, the same sum every month. Agent Dave Norton, white, middle-aged divorcee, unremarkable career, except for one incident, the shooting of a notorious stick-up man, Michael Town.
Yeah, alright.
Now for the warp. I spin myself around just as I pass this one grass patch and aim for the palm tree. This might take you some tries to get.
You reading me? Mm-hmm. Okay, we need shots of the security features, the alarm system, ventilation, cameras.
Once you enter the jewelry store, you want to take a photograph from the center of the room to get all three objectives at once. And then power once to delay the dialogue while going to the cashier. And this jump is also easy on lower FPS, so I lock to 30 and just spam it while skipping the cutscene.
Almost. I need to get eyes on the roof of the building. See where the ventilation comes out.
The state is so fucking broke.
Drive us around the block. We gotta find a way up to the roof.
For this next warp I try to press space just before hitting the yellow dot to slide into the boxes. Now for a lot of movement tech, jumping indoors. First person up the stairs, third person up the ladder.
I saw a ladder. Climb up it and see if you can get to the roof.
Aim to turn around, first person again.
I'm on the roof. Alright, use the glasses to get me a shot of Angelico's roof unit. It'll be right above the store.
Third person up the ladder. And then after dropping down, first person.
Hey, I see the vents. Yeah, I'm looking at the relay. Can you get any higher?
Third person for the jump. First person for climbing. The camera might sometimes spin around randomly here. Take the photo, jump in first person. Put out your gun for the next strat. Climb up, switch to third person and then roll off the roof. It's very important to put away your gun while falling down, otherwise you will mission fail. The rest of this mission is pretty trivial.
Here, take your glasses back.
Let's go back to the garment factory. I called ahead and told him to start setting up the information.
So, what did you see?
Nothing that'll cause undue complications.
Yeah, it looked like a simple setup. Cameras broadcasting to a remote server. We might be able to wipe them remotely. Security guard on the door. He won't want to die for rich assholes who rub his nose in it.
Good. Alarm system's linked to the door lock. We'll get a good window, someone talented hacks it.
Anything else?
Well, the more valuable merchandise is in the cabinets in the center of the store, by the register, so I'd start there. Glass in the cabinets was bulletproof, means you can smash them easy enough, but the stones will be in the safe at night.
So, we go in when it's open then?
Right. Once we melt down the gold, recut the rocks, that's an okay score.
Oh boy, it's time for carbines. Spam left click and enter during the heist selection, and make sure to select the loud option.
Yes, good.
After getting into the car, you want to aim to prevent a phone call from coming in, which will give you the text that spawns the mission earlier. Try to control yourselves on these bumps to not spin out. After getting the text, stop aiming and let the phone call come in. Drive forward until you are at this light part, get out, turn around and do tap movement. Make sure to not shoot the driver before he gets out, so that you don't have to pull his body out. Now you will need to get lucky to not get a bad cop spawn. Camera manipulation will probably help you out a ton here. Depending on the cop spawn, you can hide under the big bridge, next to the off-ramp here, under the second bridge, or where the yellow dot will be. As soon as you are under the bridge here, try to spam right click. This puts down the phone as soon as you lose the wanted level.
Alright. Want to say thanks? F, come on, get in. Paige, you're in the truck with the bikes, everyone else with me. Gus, Eddie, I need you in the back of the van.
Start honking immediately after getting into the car and place it nicely at the door so that the NPCs don't have to run that far. First brake boost here is pretty random. It seems like you have the best chances of getting it with medium RPM on 5th gear, which you always get if you follow this lineup and power exactly as in the video. Also holding shift might help you.
Van, we're about to become accomplices.
You have to follow the exact order in which you take the cases here. It's the fastest.
Lady, get on the fucking floor. Gee, nice work on the crowd. You're worth whatever we're paying you, buddy. Hey, we got
Depending on which strat you want to do later, you might need to wait until the spiker completes his animation and sets down onto the pavement to not lose time later.
Move it. It's go time.
On this next drive you want to cut left early. Now there's 3 strats that you can do. First of all, there's the old speedrun route where you stay above the crew as showcased now. Make sure to never be too far away from them. For the chase section you want to make sure to slow down like I do here, on these shadows. Otherwise you will lose the crew later. Also make sure to slow down a little bit here to not lose the crew later. If you did not wait for the biker to get set down while in the jewel store, you will need to wait for him to pop back up from the void during this cutscene, losing your 5 seconds. But now let's go back to the start of the drive. For the next 2 strats you don't have to wait for the biker to set down, because the mission fail later will reset him. This strat relies on you always having the other bikers in your field of view. It turns out that you cannot abandon the crew if you look at them, and we will use this to enter a checkpoint at the end of the sewer and then mission fail. There's two different ways to make sure that you always have them in your field of view. One is to constantly aim at them, and one is to press R so that the camera centers on them. If you do the latter, you will need to make sure to slightly move your camera after dropping down into the sewer, so that it doesn't automatically turn in front, as you will see later. For the first strat, I'm going to do the press R to focus on cruise strat, while also staying on the left side of the highway, and then taking a sharp turn to drop down into the sewer. This is the way that I do it in my runs, however you should find out yourselves which one you prefer. For the second way, now I will be taking the right side of the highway, and I will be aiming to keep them in my field of view. You can also take a wider turn to drop down, which means that the strat is theoretically faster. However, you need to cross 4 lanes of active traffic, making it random if you crash into a truck and mission fail or not. For both of those strats you will need to drive into the underground sewer and then mission fail.
Hang in there, boys. I got this covered. Keep going. I'll get to work on the cops with these bull bars. I go down, my part of the score goes down too.
On this chase you want to make sure to never get too close to the bikers, else you will get slowed down.
Typical men can't organize anything without a big showdown with the law.
We need to go. We need to go. We need to go. Look out, more rollers. We're running out of river, man. You gotta get these cops off us. Serious, man. We can't take much more of this.
Looks clear to me. Fine work, boss.
All right, we're clear of the cops for right now. We'll stop at the end of the river, and we'll get the bikes into the truck. F, let's do this. Lester's around the corner at the lockup.
This last drive is pretty trivial, just make sure to not hit Lester and that's 12% pretty much done.
Man, I thought I was gonna be stuck to that bike.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna be stuck under a cop car.
There gotta be more dudes waiting around that way. We did not just get away with that shit, did we?
You know what? I think we did. All right.
Alter, das war anstrengend, ja bist du gescheit. Fuck me, puh.
Attempting it won't lose you to... FUCK!
Then you just want to hold shift. It fucking says shit in the... It fucking says shit in the Google Docs. Oh my fucking god. You always want to try to jump into the oncoming...